Let's talk about the war against ISIS and other topics with South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, a member of the Senate Armed Forces, Appropriations, Budget, and Judiciary Committees. Senator, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
First, let me talk about this Qatar diplomatic row with the other Gulf nations.
Right.
The president seemed to indicate that leaders there on his trip to Riyadh pointed to Qatar as funding terrorism extremism. We do have this major U.S. base, actually Air Force and Army.
Right.
What to do?
Well, I've been there many times. I'm more with Tillerson on this. We need to get all the parties back together. Qatar has helped Hamas. They funded the Muslim Brotherhood. They allegedly said something positive about Iran, and now they're claiming that was a Russian hack into the Qatari news agency. It's best for us if we can get Qatar back in the fold and bring everybody back together, because we've got 10,000 troops there, and Qatar has been helpful. They're getting better in terms of funding terrorism. I just don't want to see Qatar isolated.
And what about this fight against Raqqa? I mean, is this the end game for ISIS?
Well, it's the beginning of the end, but I have a real concern about the makeup of the force. The Kurdish element of the Syrian Defense Forces is the largest military component. In the eyes of Turkey, they're terrorists. I have my suspicions as to whether or not they can hold the Arab town once you take it away from ISIL. I think we've got too many Kurds and not enough Arabs, and I'm worried about the day after in terms of holding this place. So I hope we'll get more Arabs in the fight. But I appreciate President Obama unleashing the military, giving more capability to our commanders. But this
President Trump.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. President Trump. Yes, I'm glad the other guy's gone. President Trump. He's actually given the military the chance to do some things in Mosul and Raqqa we haven't been able to do before. But there is a cautionary tale here. The force that's going to go in and take Raqqa is mostly Kurds. They're not going to be able to hold that area. We need to come up with more Arabs.
We have U.S. forces on the ground. Do they need more?
Yes. We need, I think, as many in Raqqa as we have in Mosul. We have about 6,000 inside of Iraq. That's expedited the demise of ISIL inside of Mosul. These soldiers need to stay behind. Don't do what Obama did, President Trump. Don't pull all of our soldiers out, because it'll fall back apart. I think if we had more American forces on the ground, you'd get more Arabs in the fight and rely less on the Kurds.
I want to turn now to domestic policy and specifically health care.
Yeah.
Here's the president today, sounding pretty optimistic. Take a listen.
If Congress doesn't act to save Americans from this Democrat-inflicted catastrophe, next year is only going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. Although I don't know how it can get worse than 203%. The Democrats will find a way. Almost every major insurer has already pulled out for 2018. The House took an important first step to rescue Americans from this calamity. The Senate, I'm sure, will follow suit and get a bill across the finish line this summer that will be great health care for Americans, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I think there are some looking forward to seeing it. You told reporters Monday, I don't think we can put it together among ourselves. I've always believed let Obamacare collapse. That has always been my preferred route.
Well, here's the deal. Not one Democrat wants to help us replace Obamacare. Not only are they invested in Obamacare, Democrats in this country are going to a single-payer system. You see California and other states saying Obamacare is not enough government. We want a single-payer system, cradle-to-grave, government-run health care. Obamacare is not there, but they're not going to help us replace Obamacare because they're so invested in it. Here's my concern. I don't know if with 50 votes using reconciliation, we can fully repeal and replace Obamacare. As a matter of fact, I don't think we can. We can make a substantial down payment on change, but here's what I would do. They created this mess. It's collapsing before us all. As Republicans, let it collapse and go to the Democrats and say, we told you so. Now help us replace it.
You're saying 50 votes. You're saying that Rand Paul is a no.
No, I don't know. I misstated. I talked to him in the gym. I think he's going to be a hard sell. You got Medicaid expansion states, those who took the Medicaid money, in South Carolina and other states who said, no, Medicaid's already broken, we don't want to expand it. We're in a fight among ourselves. There's a promising proposal coming from Mitch McConnell that will repeal the individual mandate, give more state control, and change some of the essential health care benefits to lower cost. But at the end of the day, what the House did, Obamacare expanded the government role in health care by $1 trillion. The House saved $133 billion out of $1 trillion. I don't want to oversell what we're doing here.
Right. But if it collapses
Right.
and you control the White House and the Senate and the House, you don't think Republicans own that?
No, we didn't create this mess. If we could get Democrats to help us replace Obamacare, we could get there. Through reconciliation, you can't pass through reconciliation buying across state lines.
Okay, last thing on this. The optimists say the Senate passes something,
Right.
then it goes to a conference committee, and they work out the details in the conference committee. But something has to happen, for some win for Republicans along the way.
I want to
here.
try to help get to 50. I'm not going to screw my state on Medicaid. And I'll tell you this, the CBO score on whatever the Senate produces will determine whether or not this passes. If the Senate health care bill is going to result in 18 million, 20 million people losing health care coverage, you probably don't get 50 votes. I'm willing to do my part. I'm willing to try, but Democrats are not helping us at all. They created this, Ms. Bret, not us. We told them it would collapse. So, Mr. President, don't own something that you don't have to own.
All right. It seems like it's the Super Bowl in Washington, Thursday morning,
Yeah,
the
it
Jim
is.
Comey testimony. What do you expect?
A high school game. I expect that he's not going to say the president obstructed justice. If he did, why would you continue to work for a man who you thought obstructed justice? I think you're going to have two new lines of inquiry. Did you, in fact, believe that there were emails between the Democratic National Committee and the Department of Justice that the Russians had that would have tainted the Department of Justice's ability to oversee the Clinton email investigation? Is that why you jumped in July? And I want to know a little bit more about unmasking. So I think what you're going to, he should answer this question. Is the president a target or subject to a criminal investigation? I don't believe the President of the United States is a target or subject to an investigation regarding collusion between him and the Russians, and I think the FBI director owes an answer to that question to the country.
Today, the press secretary didn't answer the question, said he had not had the discussion with the president on whether he has full support for the attorney general. Do you know whether he does?
I don't know, but he should. Jeff Sessions is a good man, Mr. President. He had to recuse himself. I know you're not a lawyer. There was no way Jeff Sessions could continue to preside over this investigation given the role he played in the campaign. He did the right thing. He is a good man, and you need to listen to your lawyers, Mr. President. I am trying to help you. But every time you tweet, it makes it harder on all of us who are trying to help you. I don't think you did anything wrong. Don't get in the way of an investigation that could actually clear you.
To that point, he tweeted today, the fake MSM, mainstream media, is working so hard to trying to get me not to use social media. They hate that I can get the honest and unfiltered message out. Sorry, folks, but if I would have relied on the fake news of CNN, NBC, ABC, CBS, Washington Post, and New York Times, I would have had zero chance of winning the White House.
The election's over. You won. I'm not going to tell you you beat me like a drum. I'm humbled. I want to help you, but I'll tell you this. You created the conditions for a special counsel. I have seen no evidence of collusion between President Trump and the Russians, and I've looked really close. But the reason we have a special counsel is he suggested through an interview with NBC that the reason he fired Comey was because of the Russian investigation. So I would just say this, Mr. President, your words matter now. You're no longer a candidate for office. You're the President of the United States, and a lot of us want to help you. Help us help you.
He once gave out your cell phone number. Now he uses it.
I talk to him all the time. I really like the president. I want to help him on health care. He could do things that no other Republican would do. He could get immigration done. He's got credibility on the border I don't have. He could go big on infrastructure. He's a builder. He knows what tax cuts will do for the economy, and he's been a great commander-in-chief. He's taken the fight to ISIL. He bombed Assad. God, I wish Obama had done that. You'd have 400,000 people alive in Syria today. So I want to help you, but you're going to have to help us help you. You're going to have to knock some of this off. Here's my warning to him. We're now in legal situations here. There is a special counsel. There are rules about what you can say and what you can't say about witnesses. Just trust the system to clear you. If you did nothing wrong, we will get that answer, and I have seen no evidence of the president colluding with the Russians. Let this thing go forward, and we'll get the right answer over time.
Senator Graham, we appreciate your time.
Thank you. I hope he's watching.
President Trump, he usually does. President Trump